This video is going to have a lot of cuts. This is the first time I vlogged or talked to the camera in English. And that's what this is bike. And that what. Let's talk about the Honda CB500X. So this is going to be the first review I ever post. I was actually planning on going somewhere really cool with like water and a cool place to do this. And then I was going to buy a drone to get some drone shots for the montage in the beginning of the video. But yeah, that's not going to happen with the corona thing, but that's all fine. We're gonna talk about the bike right here. So let's do this. Alright, this is the bike. I'm sure you already know how it looks like. It's the black edition, and I completely accessorized it already within the first month that I have it right now. But the accessories I'm gonna talk about in another video. I'm gonna talk about this bike as it was stock, because I think that's the most interesting for people that watch these videos, because most people watch reviews because they're planning on buying a motorcycle, or they just want to see as much footage of the bike as possible. So alright, before I talk about this bike, I want to talk a little bit about my experience with my previous bikes, or previous bike actually, as short as it may be, but I think it's really important for you to know what the experience of the reviewer is, because every reviewer has got a different experience, and they're gonna say different things based upon their experience. So my first bike was the SkyTeam Rocket 125cc's, really small bike, really cool bike. I bought it for more practical reasons. I went to college for a few years, and it was a great way to go back home and drive around the city of Antwerp, and it's just a really cool bike, and it did everything I needed, so that was the bike I bought. I bought that bike when I was 20 years old. I rode that thing for 4 years. Like the beginning 2 years was really in the city and going back and forth towards home and towards college, but like the 2 years after that, I did more like day trips with it. Not really day trips, but like going for a ride for like 4 or 5 hours. It was not great for that. It really, wasn't a really good seat. The seating position was a little bit too forward, and I mostly did that with my dad. So it was really fun, but I thought it was time for an upgrade. More upright position, more suitable for longer distances, because the plan with this bike is to travel. I want to travel long distances, I want to travel with my girlfriend. So now my purpose has changed. So I wanted a bike that could fit 2 people comfortably. I wanted a bike that has a baggage system, so that you can go travel for like months. So a lot of people are buying this bike because of really practical reasons, like commuting, which is really reasonable, because this bike is very good for that. But I'm going to use it for the sole purpose of fun, or at least I'll try. Now that that's out of the way, let's talk about the things you actually care about, the bike. I'm gonna be very honest right here, so if something is absolutely terrible, I'm gonna tell you it's absolutely terrible. So it's gonna be an honest review. So I'm not gonna read out every spec of the bike, I'll just leave a link in the description for that, because by now you probably already know most of the important stuff. I just want to talk about what basically is my first impression of this bike after 1,000 kilometers, what I've done with it the first 1,000 kilometers, and how the bike handled every situation. And then maybe to top things off, things I like and what I don't like about this bike. And also, if you got any more questions after this video, just comment in the comment section, and I'll promise to react to every comment for the upcoming weeks or months. Just, you know, I'm sure people will have questions about things I don't talk about. There are several things I'm not gonna talk about because I haven't experienced it yet on this bike. That's gonna be for like a future video, like 10,000 kilometer review or something. So yeah. So what have I done with this bike in the first 1,000 kilometers? To be honest, mostly tarmac, because, you know, that's just what you get here. In Belgium it's not really allowed to do some serious off-roading, because when you drive into a forest, like 99% it's not allowed. So you really have to get some distance before you get to some fun twisty roads or something. So mostly tarmac. I try to avoid traffic, but depending on where you live, it's not really avoidable. So I've done some lane splitting as well. And then lastly, I have also done some gravel roads, actually just before the lockdown started. So I was really happy to have done that before this video. My main impression is that I felt safe on the bike. I felt safe and I felt comfortable. The first time I got on it, my first impression was it's easy to ride. That's like the first thing I said. This feels easy. When I was learning to drive a motorcycle for my license, the bike that I rode was the Kawasaki Z650. It took me like 3 hours to get a little bit used to it. The first time I sat on this bike, it felt like I was riding it for 3 weeks. So it's really easy to ride. So if you are an inexperienced rider or someone like me that rode a smaller bike for a couple of years and is looking for like an upgrade or a bigger bike that's still manageable, this is a really great pick. The bike is really balanced, not just the motor, but also the suspension. If you go through a corner and there's like a little stone in the way, the suspension will just, you know, suck it up. So you feel really safe. So for new riders, it's a really great choice. Alright, so let's go over every type of road I have experienced with this bike. I'm gonna set up the camera a little bit different, I think. Right. So the smaller roads, I think they're perfect for this bike. It's almost like the bike is built for that purpose. So smaller roads, that's like 80% of my riding experience. I needed to change the battery. Alright, so then let's talk about traffic. Traffic, you can really get into the traffic with this motorcycle. You can maneuver it, you can lane split perfectly, you fit everywhere. If you need to go backwards or you need to do something, you can do that. It's not a problem. For passing cars, it's perfectly adequate. There's a lot of power in the mid-range, so when you go from like 30 to 100, there will be a lot of power. But then when you reach like 115, 120 and going up, there's less power, and you definitely feel that, but it's more than enough power to like surpass people. So say you're driving 120 and there's a guy riding 119 before you and you want to pass him, you just open that throttle and it goes to like 130 easily, but not as quick as you will accelerate in the mid-range. A really good speed to maintain for me is like 115, 110. You can go 120 or like, what is that, 75 miles an hour. You can do that perfectly fine, but there's a lot of wind and it's just not really relaxing for me. And I ride a motorbike mostly to relax and to have fun. And it's just not that fun anymore when there's just a lot of noise and a lot of wind. So I just don't do that. I prefer feeling comfortable, and that's like around 110, 150. So if you're a type of rider that wants to ride above 120 kilometers an hour, so like above 75, 80 miles per hour on the highway all day long, then you should buy a cruiser like a Harley Davidson or an Indian, or some like big bike like a 1200 GS, for example. That will do that just fine. Don't buy this bike. This is not your bike if you're that type of rider. Alright, and lastly, off-road. So last week I went along some really low traction road that was mostly sand and a lot of gravel and some stones that would push you like to the sides. But actually I was really surprised by the performance of the bike. Keeping in mind the bike has stock tires, stock suspension, stock everything. So that's really impressive actually. If you're a really adventurous rider that wants to push the limits, you should get a dirt bike or like a Tenere or something, because those bikes are really meant for that purpose. This can do some off-road, but it's not really the main purpose of the bike. You can again feel the balance of the bike when you go off-road. This little video right here, you will see me going up a small hill and then nearly come to a stop, but it's not like you feel like it's going to go left or right. You're just gonna go forward. You don't feel afraid to fall or something. So that's a really good point. I really wanna say a couple of things I don't like, so it's just not one-sided. 3 things I don't like are: 1, it's not really meant to be standing up on this bike. When I ride along like a sandy road, I'll feel more comfortable sitting down than standing up, which is actually opposite of what you want to do. Then the second thing is the windscreen. This curve right here, if you set it higher, the handguard will just knock it every time you go full lock. So maybe that's because of the handguards, but I think most handguards will have that issue, and that's just not good. So, and then the third thing is up for discussion, but I don't really like it. It's the fact that the headlight shines a little bit too high. So if I'm riding when it's dark out, people flash me. So the people that ride towards me, they keep flashing me because they think I have my big lights on. I just flash them back like I'm not using my big lights. It's just the light. People are not gonna flash their lights just random. It means they're blinded, and I don't want someone that is blinded coming towards me. So that's maybe something you should really check and change, because it's just not safe. Also, when you are riding behind someone in the dark, I was riding behind my girlfriend one time. When she got out, she said my headlight was really annoying because it was blinding her in her backside mirror. So that's also a reason to lower your light. That being said, the foot pegs are, you're able to change that. For the windscreen, there are other options. You can get an extension put onto your windscreen if you want some more wind protection. And then, what's the last thing I said? Yeah, the headlight, you can change that as well. So things I don't like, you can change. So that's good. So that were 3 negative points about the bike. I also want to talk about 3 things I love most about this bike. Number 1 being safety. I feel really safe on the bike, that's number 1. Second thing is you get really much quality for what you're spending. So the bike comes in at around 7,000 euros or dollars stock, and you're getting a really balanced, safe, comfortable bike with a lot of options. And then the third thing I like very much is the aftermarket options. Don't really need to search really hard to find the things that I want, and everything I bought, I really love the look of it. It's all blacked out now. Everything I bought is black, so just really comes together in one piece. It's really nice. Alright, there are also two things I didn't really talk about, being long distances and going two up or bringing a passenger. That's because I haven't really experienced those things with this bike. That will have to wait for the next review, like when I do my 10,000 kilometer review. I'll talk about that more. I just want to end this video by thanking everyone watching. I've made it to 70 subscribers in 3 weeks, which is much more than I thought that would happen. So I think that means I'm doing something right. This is the first time I vlogged or talked to the camera in English. It's been a real struggle. I feel really awkward, and you know, my neighbors there and there were people coming in, and I know I have like this ridiculous Dutch accent intertwined with some American, Australian, British words all put together. But you know, you managed to watch it this far, so thank you. Alright, lastly, I want to end the video with starting a new trend on my channel, the first trend actually. So at the end of every video, I want to give you guys a movie quote, and then you guys guess what movie the quote is from. The next video, I'll put the first comment that I see guesses it right. I'll put that comment in the next video. Alright, you ready? So this is the first movie quote. That woman deserves her revenge, and we deserve to die. Thank you.